First things first, I want to apologize to you guys and girls. I want you to try your best to stick with me. I'm low on energy as I am competing, and I just feel like I'm dying. So you might not get the same energy from me today, but I'm still going to show up and I'm still going to give you the most that I possibly can. Okay, and we're going to talk about competing today. Let me just flip the camera over here on TikTok. I don't know why it was backwards, but we're going to talk about competing today. And like honestly, competing isn't for everybody. It's really not. And like, if you can't see it in my face, you can hear it in my voice. It's not for everybody. And I'm not knocking competing. I fucking love it. And when I'm talking about competing, I'm talking about bodybuilding specifically, um, guys and girls. So bodybuilding, it's not for everybody. It's so great. It seems like so fucking amazing to do. You go on stage, you bring your very best out, like you go through this whole entire like transformative experience where you are able to literally like shape yourself, sculpt yourself into like a statue, of just muscle, pure muscle. You look amazing. You look like you feel like you're on top of the world in some ways because you look so amazing. And then you get to a point where it's like you feel so complete because you were able to actually like put a hard deadline out there and make that deadline when it comes to making weight. Or you have a goal out there like going to crush it at a show, do your very best and beat everybody, or even just doing your very best. Like it feels great to compete, not only in bodybuilding, just in general in sports. Like I've always been a competitive guy. I've always, honestly, like football was my, I think, first true love when it came to being competitive with a team. But becoming competitive individually, that would be freestyle wrestling. Jesse the King says, when's your competition? It's 27th of November, about 9 weeks from now, 2021. It's a natural national qualifier, IFBB Pro qualifier. All right. So there's a chance that I could turn pro at that show. Anyway, we're going to be talking a little bit about that later on. But for the most part, this live stream, we're going to talk about sort of what it takes to be a true competitive athlete, um of course on the natural side because I'm a natural athlete. So we're going to talk about that and a little bit of my experiences in the past and now, and some of the difficulties that I experienced in the past and that I'm currently experiencing as a an amateur bodybuilder. And I'm going to give you guys and girls some honest perspective, as to like what you should expect if you decide to go down this route of competition, or this road of competition, right? So it's not for everybody. And I really mean that when I say that, because it's not easy. And if it were easy, everyone would do that. And we know it already, right? So let's talk about it. Before you ask yourself if you're ready to compete, guys and girls, ask yourself this. And when I talk about competing, I'm speaking of like natural bodybuilding, right? How, or just bodybuilding in general, how long have you been training? Like, how many years of solid training do you have under your belt? Okay, I'm not talking about like, you just trained a little bit and you stopped and you trained again. Like you're adding up all your total years of like, since you've ever entered the gym. No, like how many years of consistent hard training do you have under your belt? Right? Because for myself, I had at least 4 to 5 years of consistent to hard training, given that I was a national caliber freestyle wrestler. I finished second in nationals, and second in Canada. And like I was always training. I was playing football at the same time. I'd be in the gym a lot in high school and stuff like that. And just growing up, I was like an athlete, right? But I wasn't always consistent in training hard. All of that really came when I was, working to essentially go to the Worlds or the Pan American Games or Olympics in 2014 when I was a freestyle wrestler. So I was like going hard. I was already competitive in that aspect. So I was really fucking working, right? So that's like one thing. I had a couple of years of training under my belt. And let me just give you guys and girls the caveat again. If you are tuning into this live and you see me, I'm looking tired or I'm like not as, uppity as usual, it's because I'm fucking dying right now. I'm like, prep is not a game, and we're going to talk about that. Your energy levels will dip and they will spike, right? But right now my energy levels are dipping. But I'm gonna be here for you guys because Monday to Friday we do our live stream. Anyway, if you don't have an adequate amount of years of training under your belt, competing is not for you. You should wait it out. Train at least for 2 to 3 or depending on your genetics and honestly how compliant you are with your eating. We're going to talk about that in a bit. 4 years. Okay, between 2, 3, 4, even 5 years, depending on how you actually look, you should really focus on getting some solid training in. And what does that mean, solid training? I'm not talking about like when you go into the gym and you're getting ready to just do some fat loss stuff and like some workouts that are challenging for you but aren't like something that an athlete would do. Like if you're doing basic workouts, you're not at the intermediate or advanced level, and you haven't stayed at the intermediate or advanced level for longer than 2 to 3 to 4 or 5 years, competing is not for you. Okay, wait it out. Train as hard as you can for as long as you can, and you'll see your body start to make those results. And if your body doesn't make results, then I mean it's unfortunate. You may never be able to compete, right? There are people, of course, that we'll say don't have the best genetics, or we'll just say there are people that their bodies just don't respond the same as other people, and they can train for so long and really not get those results, even if they're eating right and they're doing everything right. So for those people, competing just isn't for them, and seriously, it's just not for everybody because it's a different game. It's not like a sport where you can shoot baskets and be good that way. It's not like wrestling where you can score points and win, be good that way. This is literally subjective. Like how you look is going to determine your success in this sport, right? So if you can't control how you look, no matter how hard you try and do everything right, then it's just not going to work for you, right? So the first thing I want to bring to you guys and girls is how many years have you actually been training consistently at an intermediate or advanced level? And based off of that, if you've been doing it for more than 2, 3, or 4 years, or 5 years even, what do you look like? And if you look half decent, if you look good, then I suggest it's worth actually taking that leap and competing, right? But also, that brings me to the next thing I want to talk about when it comes to knowing if competition is right for you or if it's the right time. Do you know what to do? Like, do you actually know what to do? Like, do you know how to have a proper off season? Do you know how to prep and get cut, lose the fat and water and keep, if not grow, a tad bit of muscle? Like, do you know how to do that, especially naturally, where it's difficult, right? Like, do you know how to do these things? Do you have this knowledge, right? A lot of people don't, and that's why coaches exist, right? Shameless plug. But if you don't have that knowledge, I would recommend hiring a coach. And again, do not hire a coach for competition unless you're actually ready to compete. And let's say like you don't have those years under your belt of training. Let's say that you haven't been training as an intermediate or as a advanced bodybuilder for the 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Hope is not all done, because you can still hire a coach and work to have a solid off season for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. They can help you develop the skills that it would take to get to a level where you're now intermediate or advanced. And then based off of that, you can prep with your coach, and they'll teach you, of course, while learning your body, how to actually get prepared for a bodybuilding show, and burn off that fat, drop that water weight, get that skin tight while holding on to as much muscle as possible. And if not, then trying to grow some even, right? So that's the second question. Do you know what to do? Okay. And if you don't, when it comes to your off season, when it comes to your competitive season, seek help, because it's again, as an amateur, you're going to be paying to compete just as if you would in any other sport, right? So it's not worth it for you to pay for a sport and then literally suffer doing everything wrong, go there and you lose, or you just completely shit yourself, shit the bed, when there's proper knowledge out there from people that are actually doing it that you could use to, increase your odds and also teach you about the sport, teach you about the process of, burning fat while building muscle, if not retaining muscle and getting so lean. I'm talking lean, like under 7, 6, and some people even 5% body fat, right? Like it's not an easy task to do on your own. Like I definitely had so many coaches, in all sports that I've ever competed in, simply because to get to the next level, you just need that. You're not going to know everything. I did, but I also applied my research to my coach's research, simply because you can't just know it all. On top of that, as a bodybuilder, each and every single year, your prep is going to be different. Every year, yeah, because every year your physique is going to evolve, develop. You're going to strengthen your weak points, or at least you should. You will have a different look. You can expect, or you can sort of anticipate having a different look on stage. So the way you'll pose is going to have to be different inevitably. The way you will, the amount of weight that you'll lift as you get closer to the show will be different inevitably, as you always will be changing. Also, just like being honest with you, the food that you're going to eat, the type of food that you're going to eat, that's all going to change simply because your physique has changed and you can't do what you did last year. So hiring a coach or having a coach or someone in your corner that can help you or teach you and learn about your body and be like that reflective mirror of knowledge would be essential. Also, let's talk about this and get a little bit more real. Okay, like that was sort of like the practical reasons why competing may not be for you, but like let's get a little real here. And like I'm just gonna be a little bit vulnerable and open up and just speak some facts to you guys and girls right now. So like one big thing that if it happens, if it's like something that I have to experience, if it's something that I have to like go through, I would actually consider quitting a competition or postponing the competition simply because it is fucking unbearable to essentially starve yourself in a way. You're getting rid of your fat and your water. And I mean, everybody hates fat, sure, but you need fat on your body. You know what I mean? Like when you lose your fat, your stress levels start to go up and all that stuff. And like, it's hard to live and like to not have carbs and all that stuff or a certain amount. It's a different game it's like a mental warfare, right? So like let's talk about stress. If I'm stressed out, I will actually consider canceling competition until like I'm not stressed out anymore. And the reason why is because there's so much stress already that's put upon your body, stress and strain, and your mentality, like your literal mental health. There's so much stress upon it that you put on it when you compete, when you prep. You get like foggy brain, you get tired all the time, because of the lack of energy. You only have energy really around the gym, and that's only sometimes. If you're doing, you're eating your carbs right and all that stuff, and you or your coach know what you're doing. So if your stress levels are high, it's going to be very unlikely that you bring your very best package on stage simply because your body will actually respond differently if you're stressed. When cortisol levels are increased, and i.e., if y'all didn't know, cortisol comes from, literally like being angry, not sleeping all the time, things like that, like not getting an adequate amount of rest. When your body or your brain starts to produce a lot of cortisol, it's harder for your body to lose weight, or not even lose weight, burn fat. And you need to burn fat and drop the water weight if you actually want to compete. So it's absolutely difficult. It's like literally fighting fire with fire if you decide to compete while you're stressed out, or if you're in like a high point stress, high stress point in your life. I would really, really, really reconsider competing. Like myself, I would not compete if something dramatic was happening in my life. I would just like, there's just no way I could bring my best to the stage. And it's like I could go to the gym, I could bust my ass, and I could do everything that I need to do to get to that point, but my body won't respond. It's not guaranteed to respond the way that I needed to. And on top of that, it's going to stress me out even more because I'm adding stress and strain to my body while I'm already stressed out. And now that I'm not looking the way that I'm supposed to be or responding the way that I'm supposed to be, that's going to stress me out again. And then before you know it, I just have a fucking massive headache. Don't want to deal with people. And you know what's good. What's up? Kayla Rivers, Burger Boy Matt. You know what's good. All right, yo. So let's talk about this. The next thing I want to talk about. And this one's actually humongous. This one is like, if you have a problem with this one, don't even fucking talk to me about competing. Don't talk to anybody about competing, not even yourself, unless you can get rid of it. All right. So competing as a bodybuilder or competition, bodybuilding competition is not for you if you don't have a temptation tolerance. Okay, if you don't have a temptation tolerance, and what does that even fucking mean? Temptation tolerance, guys and girls. Temptation tolerance is like you smell pizza, you see pizza, but you can't have pizza. And like this is not for the regular person that's like, burning some fat and like just 10, 15 pounds of fat and just want to look a little bit leaner and just feel little bit better and put on a little bit of muscle. Like you can definitely burn fat and build muscle at the same time. But when you're going to compete, it's a different fucking game. Like that's out the window. Like you are now officially stepping into the territory of being a different fucking caliber. Like there are literally foods you cannot eat or should not eat, especially at certain times, depending on how close or far away you are from the show. Right? So you smell the pizza, you see the pizza, everyone around you is enjoying the pizza, but you can't fucking have it. If you can control that temptation, if you can tolerate that temptation and still eat your rice and fish that you have it, that you prepped, that has 50 grams of rice and like, 4, 5, 6, 7 ounces of fish. If you can, thug it out with your temptation tolerance and actually tolerate the temptation of everyone enjoying food around you, then that's a good sign that you might be ready to compete. But if you see someone eating pizza, smell the pizza, and now you just can't fucking handle it because you've been low carbs for so long trying to get rid of the water and the fat, there's no chance in hell. Competing is not going to be for you, and it never will be for you, and that's fine. Because it's not everyone's built in a way where they can actually like not eat the foods that they want to eat because winning is that important to them, or getting shredded is that important to them. And let me just put this caveat out there, guys and girls. Lisa, I see you. What's up? Getting lean and getting shredded are two different things, guys and girls. Getting lean, okay, like losing 10, 15 pounds, even 20 pounds, and getting shredded are two absolutely different things. To get lean, you can still have a pizza. To get lean, you can still eat a burger along the way. But to get shredded, like to the point where and let me tell you this, getting shredded is not healthy. Competing in a sense is not healthy, even if you're a natural bodybuilder. It's just not. To rid your body of all of its fat storages in the water, you'll feel cold and it's like 16, 18, 19 degrees Celsius outside. It's fairly warm, and you'll feel like it's winter because you have no fat on your body. It's just all muscle, right? And that happens to me all the time. For the last 2 days, I was in sweaters on my live stream. I was shivering the hell out of my boots because I was just cold because I'm getting so lean now. And when you get to a point where you're shredded, your joints start to hurt more. You just have less energy. It's not sustainable. Once you get shredded, you should stay shredded for 2 to 3 days, peak for your show, and then start slowly, rebounding, getting out of that state. You cannot stay shredded year round, and if you can't, you just shouldn't even try. You're just forcing your body to be in a horrible state, and if you're shredded for too long, you'll actually lose muscle. But that's a lie for another day. So, if you can't tolerate, if you have no temptation tolerance, if you cannot smell a burger or pizza and say, fuck, I'm not having that, I'm going to eat what I need to eat to get to this fucking goal, to get on stage and to win and to kick ass, or to bring my very best package forward. If you don't have that in your brain and you can't develop that, then competing will never be for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just giving you the facts. For myself, I'm working so hard. I'm doing 1 hour fasted cardio in the morning. I'll do a 1.5 to 2 hour training session, and I'm still fucking pushing hard. Just because I'm, getting prepped and I'm cutting my carb doesn't mean I train lighter. I train the same weight, if not a little bit heavier, with a little bit less sets to really push myself. An example was I did 4 sets of squats yesterday. 1 plate for 20 reps, 2 plates for 30, 2 plates for 15 reps, 3 plates for 12. 4 plates for 6, and then immediately after that, right into deadlifts. Same numbers, except I did a little bit more when I hit 405 on the deadlift, and I'm coming down. I've already lost about 15 pounds since I started prep, and my numbers are still the same or going up. And you have to train that hard. Lisa, don't kill me. Thought you said sex. Tell me where you thought I said that, because I'm gonna laugh. But it's so fucking hard. You're gonna have less energy, and you have to train even harder than when you had more energy, right? To really bring out the muscle, to really get shredded. Vascularity. It's not easy, yo. And I know it doesn't even look easy, but it looks like, oh, if I follow A, B, and C, then D is my outcome. It's not even always that. You can do everything right and still fucking lose. And fucking that, it just happens. It happened to me 2019 Nationals. And that brings me to another thing that I want to talk about. Do you have what it takes to get the fuck back up and dust yourself off after a loss? Okay, if you're playing a team sport, it's one thing. If you're playing basketball, if you're playing football, you lose a game, cool. It's your whole team's thing. Your whole team's going to take an L, whatever. But I'm speaking specifically to those of you that do individual sports, say wrestling. Wrestling was a great example because for me, this ties into bodybuilding, and that's why I love individual sports so much, because everything is on you. When you win, it's all you. When you lose, it's all you. Can't blame your team. So I remember vividly on my birthday. It was a 3-day tournament, the Nationals. I lost on an 11-11 tie on my birthday, and I was devastated. It's the first time I ever cried after a loss in anything in my life, because it was my birthday, and I was expected to win that Canadian championship because nobody else on my team won it, and we had 2 silver medals, and I was one of them. I was expected to be the gold guy, and I fell short, and I cried. It fucked me up, but I didn't give up. I still trained my ass off, still went to practice, and did what I did, right? But when I'm talking about bodybuilding now, it's the same thing. I came second in Canada in 2019. Same sort of thing with wrestling, except it wasn't my birthday and I didn't cry because I was like way older. But anyway, I got to the point where I was like, okay, fuck, I didn't win this time. I didn't win, but am I gonna like give up? Am I done? Like, is this like because I didn't win? Like that's it? Like I should never try again, and this is not meant for me? Because prior to that, I won 2 bodybuilding shows. One of them being a nationals in 2018. I was crowned national champion, the best in Canada at 20, and I fucking won before. I'm capable of winning, and I'm just gonna do my best until I fucking win. It's inevitable. One day I will be like undeniable. So I decided to keep going and going and going. The following year, I went to another amateur show, and I won that show. And it was so last minute. I only had 30 days to lose 28 days to lose 30 pounds. And with the help of the time, I did that, even though it's something I don't recommend doing and I would never do again unless I had to, which I don't have to anymore because I was doing that to qualify for another physique or another category. But that's a different story for another day. And I did that and I won the show. So I realized, I'm a fucking winner anyway. Like, whether I win or lose, I have what it takes to get the fuck up and continue. And if I can get up and continue, then this is something that I can do. If you cannot get up and continue after you lose or after you don't get a place you expected, then competing is not for you on all fronts, not just bodybuilding. If you can't take a loss, dust yourself up and move forward, you can't compete. That's that's like the biggest part of competition. I feel sorry for the person that goes into a show, that goes into a tournament of any sort and just wins all the time, because you don't have what it takes to actually like be a true athlete. I wouldn't call you a true athlete if you always won. A true athlete knows how to fucking be the underdog, come from like behind, from under and behind, and find themselves at the top of the mountain because they have what it takes in them to stand up after they fall down. And that's like a big thing that I want to talk about. Do you have what it takes to handle a loss, or dare I say a lesson? Because it's always a lesson, never a loss. Can you take L's? Can you take lessons? If you can, competing is for you. If you can't, the door's that way. All right. So the last thing I want to bring up to you guys and girls is, and it seems sort of cliche. It seems sort of like, Matt, what the fuck? Shut up. I already knew you were going to say this, or I knew this already. But yo, this is facts. Like what I'm about to say right now is absolutely 1000% true. If you have no discipline, like zero, like zilch, like you don't have discipline, competing is not for you. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, yeah, we talked about temptation tolerance, about the food and things like that. Cool. But discipline, guys and girls, okay? Discipline is like, I don't feel like doing this, but I have to do this, and I'm going to do this. And when I do it, I'm going to do it with my best effort every time. That's discipline, yo. Like, if you do not have that, like, if you can't just, if you don't feel like doing it, and that's enough to make you not do it, tough luck, tough shit. You'll never, ever, ever, ever succeed in competing. There's going to be times, especially when you're really close to the show. Like even me now, like I'm almost 2 months away from the show, and that's fairly close. And I'm fairly ahead, I'd say. But even still, I don't let my foot off the gas because I know my competitors, doing something else, and that if I let off, then I'm giving away inches, and give away an inch, they'll take a mile. So like that's in my head when it comes to being competitive. I'm so disciplined to the point where it doesn't fucking matter what I think. It just happens. It's done. Get the fuck up. Do my fasted cardio for an hour. Okay. Drink my water. Eat my meals. Train my fucking ass off. Go harder than last time. Heavier than last time. Pose for 30 minutes to 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours, which is another cardio session. Okay. And then stretch. Do everything that needs to do to make sure that I can, increase my odds of being the very best I could possibly be for the show. Do you have an extreme level of discipline? Not just like, I'm going to do it well, or I'm going to do it when it's the scheduled time, but like, fuck, I was scheduled 30 minutes to do this, but I don't feel right about this posing or this pose, or I don't feel right about this workout, so I'm going to stay a little bit longer, or I'm going to do a little bit more. Like, are you that fucking invested? Are you that disciplined to the point where you could like literally just change your mind to do to give yourself that, like, the best possible outreach when it comes to success in whatever it is that you're competing in? Like, do you give a fuck that much where it's like, it doesn't matter, like, I'll cancel important shit right now if it means that I get a better chance at succeeding in this bodybuilding shit? Like normally, you guys and girls know I go live at 4 p.m. EST, and I do apologize for going on later today, but I was posing for 2 hours, and I was so disciplined to the point I'm like, yeah, you know what? Normally it's 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour tops, but I don't like the way this pose looks right now, and I don't like my choreography, so I'm going to change it, and I'm going to change it, and I'm going to repeat it, and I'm going to repeat it, and I'm going to repeat it. Do I like it? Do I like it? Do I like it? Like obsessive. Like there's extreme discipline, and like this competing bodybuilding is obsessive. I'm literally measuring how much fucking ketchup goes into a bowl. Measuring ketchup. I measure jam that goes onto bread. Think it's funny? Competing isn't for everybody, and that's fucking cool. That's fine, right? Like it's an extreme. I'll give you that much. It's an extreme, right? Not everybody has what it takes in them to live up to these extreme standards, and that's fine. Competing isn't for everybody. I know everybody wants to be jacked and all that stuff, and like you can still get jacked, but getting shredded, different conversation. Your brain has to be. You got to be a literal. You got to be a different breed, right? And I'm not saying that you know, to tote my fucking whatever, my bodybuilding fucking love and all that shit. Like, nah, bro, it's not even like that. It's just it's the fact of the matter. You won't be able to succeed, or you won't be able to compete successfully if you don't have extreme discipline, temptation tolerance, which is the ability to not fucking eat the food that everyone around you is eating. Okay, and there's a difference between getting lean and getting shredded. Getting lean, you can still eat pizza and burgers. Getting shredded, you fucking can't. You shouldn't, unless you are doing a refeed or it's scheduled. Like it has to be like as I said, I'm measuring fucking ketchup and jam. I'm measuring fucking every, and if it's off by a gram, I'm taking the gram out. Seriously. And it's like that's the level of discipline and temptation tolerance. Even within like my own healthy food, I'm like, it's healthy food, but like it ain't on the dot. So I'm gonna put a gram away or a quarter of an ounce away because that's not what I'm doing. It has to be by the dot 0.000, not even 0.1, by the 0.000. And that's gonna show, it's gonna translate when I go on stage and I fucking kick ass. Because you like if the mind can conceive of, the body will do it. Where the mind goes, the body will follow. If my mind is that wired, you'll see my physique and understand that it came from that wired mind. Period. I don't have to explain. It becomes self-explanatory and undeniable at that point, right? That's what you should strive for if you want to compete. And if you don't have that, competing isn't for you, and that's cool. I'm not knocking you. I'm just telling you. All right? Because these are some things I wish I knew before I started. Because I made a whole lot of mistakes in my journey. If you're stressed out, don't compete. Wait till the next season. Just don't. Because you're already putting so much strain and stress on your body by competing anyway. By getting so fucking shredded, not lean, shredded. That hurts mentally and physically for a period of time. Talking about 4 or 5. Some people do 5 months, perhaps some people do 4 or 3 months. But it's 5 months. Look, 6 months is half a year. Can you do that like for half a year? Not a lot of people can, right? So also, do you know what to do? Do you have a coach that's teaching you about your own body and is learning about your body and helping you make those small adjustments as you get closer to the show and teaching you about peak weeks and is able to, run you through different types of peak weeks as your physique evolves, right? Or do you know that for yourself? Like, these are things you got to know. And if you don't, competing isn't for you. And also, how many years have you been training? How many years of, I would say, intermediate to advanced level training do you have under your belt? Those are the few questions that I'd like to ask you. And if you can answer them yourself or to me, then I can tell you, or you can tell yourself, whether or not competing is or is not for you. All right, guys and girls, that's it. That's all. Today was just really informative. I wanted to just bring this point across and help you guys and girls get a little bit more of a perspective as to why it's so important to know these things if you actually aspire to compete as a bodybuilder, or we'll say specifically for a bodybuilder, or anything for that matter. You've got to have an extreme level of everything. To compete is an extreme. It's not always for fun. They say, win or lose is for fun. Yeah, if you're trying to lose. And I don't think you want to go to lose. That's why you're competing. You want to bring your best and you want your best to be the best. All right, so that's it. That's all, guys and girls. Wrapping it up at about 30 minutes flat. I hope you guys and girls having a fucking amazing, the best Friday night of your life and the best weekend of your life. We'll be back again on Monday, as usual. Monday to Friday live streams. You know what's good. We'll be back again. Thank you so much for showing up. I love each and every single one of y'all. We out. Later, Insta. Peace. Later, TikTok. Facebook, we out the cut. Let's get out of here, Twitter. And of course, last but not least, we're gonna say peace out to YouTube because I appreciate y'all. And I'll be showing you guys and girls will actually be getting to see the whole entire perspective when it comes to my prep and how lean I'm gonna get. I know you can see it in my eyes. I got like a little bit of death face going on. So yeah, you can definitely see that this is gonna get a lot more, and I'm gonna be a lot more skeleton. But you'll see it. I'm aiming to build a pro physique to potentially, hopefully, earn a pro card. You'll be able to see that journey. Thank you so much for your time. Again, we'll be back again on Monday. Peace and love. Thank you so much, people. We out.